The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Thexhi's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among the Zephyrian species. The crystalline being's voice resonated through the vast hall, each word dripping with condescension. Chemical. Propulsion? Thexhi's translation device barely contained his amusement. The humans still use chemical propulsion for their weapons? How primitive. Around the amphitheater, representatives from a dozen species joined in the mockery. The Vorthon delegation's tentacles writhed with mirth, while the silicon-based Chronari emitted harmonic frequencies that indicated deep amusement. Even the usually stoic ethereals allowed their energy forms to pulse with what could only be interpreted as cosmic chuckling. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, her weathered face impassive as she watched the greatest military minds in the galaxy dismiss humanity's contribution to the war effort. Her dress uniform bore the scars of a dozen conflicts, each medal a testament to battles fought with what these beings considered archaic weaponry. You find our kinetic weapons. Amusing? Chen said, her voice cutting through the laughter like a blade. Perhaps you'd prefer to see a demonstration? General Korth An of the Dominion Military Command leaned forward, his reptilian features twisted in what might have been a smile. By all means, human. Show us these bullets we've heard so much about. Our energy shields can deflect plasma, bolts that would vaporize entire city blocks. What harm could your metal projectiles possibly do? The other council members nodded in agreement. They had seen humanity's weapons in the technical briefings, crude devices that hurled small pieces of metal using controlled explosions. Compared to their plasma cannons, molecular disruptors, and quantum destabilizers, human armaments seemed laughably outdated. Chen activated her comm device. Admiral Torres, please proceed with the demonstration. High above the planet, the human vessel Indomitable adjusted its position. Unlike the sleek, energy-based ships of the other species, it was a brutish thing of steel and ceramic composites, bristling with what the aliens had dubbed primitive weapons. The target was a decommissioned Vorthan destroyer, its shields powered by the same technology that had made their species the dominant naval force for 3 centuries. The assembled delegates watched through the chamber's massive viewport as the human ship opened fire. What happened next would be remembered in galactic military academies for generations to come. The first projectile struck the Vorthan shields at 17,000 meters per second. The energy barrier, designed to disperse the heat and electromagnetic radiation of energy weapons, had no protocol for dealing with a solid tungsten rod traveling at relativistic speeds. The shield generator overloaded instantly, its crystalline matrix shattering like glass. But that was only the beginning. The tungsten penetrator punched through the destroyer's hull with contemptuous ease, its depleted uranium core fragmenting into thousands of razor-sharp pieces that ricocheted through the ship's interior like metallic hornets. The second round followed a microsecond later, then a third, each one fired from a different angle, each one exploiting the fundamental weakness that every energy-based defense system shared. They were designed to stop energy, not matter moving, at appreciable fractions of light speed. In the space of 3 seconds, the destroyer was reduced to an expanding cloud of superheated debris. The chamber fell silent. Kinetic weapons, Chen explained conversationally, don't rely on exotic particles or quantum mechanics. They follow the oldest law in the universe, F equals ma. Force equals mass times acceleration. We've simply become very, very good at acceleration. She gestured toward the viewport where the remains of the destroyer continued to expand. Your shields are impressive against energy weapons, but they're useless against something that relies on simple Newtonian physics. Mass and velocity, gentlemen, the universe's most reliable combination. Ambassador Thexhigh's mandibles had stopped clicking. But the energy requirements, the power needed to accelerate mass to such velocities, is exactly why everyone else abandoned kinetic weapons centuries ago, Chen acknowledged. It's inefficient, it's brutal, it requires massive power cores and generates enormous heat signatures. From a purely technical standpoint, your energy weapons are superior in almost every way. She paused, letting that sink in. Almost every way. General, Corthon leaned back in his chair, his reptilian eyes narrowing. You're saying that humans continued developing these weapons despite their inefficiency? We're saying that humans have a different relationship with inefficiency, Chen replied. When we get angry, really angry, we don't care about efficiency. We don't care about elegance or technological sophistication. We care about making the other guy stop existing. She activated another display showing technical specifications that made several delegates gasp. This is our newest ship-mounted railgun. It fires a 5-kilogram tungsten slug at 40% the speed of light. The power requirement is enormous. It drains our entire reactor output for 15 seconds. In terms of energy-to-damage efficiency, it's terrible. Her smile was cold as winter steel. But it will punch through any known shield system, any known armor, and any known defensive measure in the galaxy. Because sometimes the best solution to a problem isn't the most elegant one. Sometimes the best solution is the one that hits hardest. The silence stretched on until finally, Admiral Vextar of the Coalition Navy spoke up. How many of these ships do you have? Enough, Chen replied simply. The implications hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Every species in the galaxy had spent centuries perfecting energy weapons, creating beautiful, efficient, elegant systems that could devastate enemies without the crude brutality of kinetic bombardment. They had laughed at human weapons, dismissed them as primitive throwbacks to a more barbaric age, but they had forgotten something important about humans. When pushed to the edge, when their anger finally exceeded their restraint, they didn't care about elegant solutions. They cared about final solutions. The Zephyrian ambassador's voice was barely above a whisper. The enemy fleet. When they arrive, we'll discover, Chen said quietly, that humanity's primitive weapons work just fine against their shields. And when they realize that, when they see their entire invasion force reduced to expanding, clouds of plasma and metal fragments, they'll understand something important about humans. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every delegate. We don't just fight wars, we end them. As the meeting adjourned, the assembled representatives filed out in subdued silence. Behind them, through the great viewport, the debris field that had once been a mighty warship continued its slow dance through the void, a stark reminder that sometimes the oldest solutions were also the most effective ones. The humans had been right about one thing. When they got angry, they stopped caring about anything except making the other side stop. And that, more than any advanced technology, was what made them truly terrifying.